So this is my latest video update, slightly later than normal on Friday the 25th of October, and that's because I'm working all weekend and I have a day off today, and I decided, because I haven't got a massive amount to update residents on, because a lot of the stuff is ongoing that I've already communicated in previous updates, or stuff that I've managed to fix and cross off the list. I thought what I would do is have a ride around my county council division of Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, have a ride around on my bike and see if there's anything that I could spot. I'm pleased to say I did spot quite a few things, and also reminded me of some of the stuff that I'd been working on a long time ago and that still hasn't quite materialised. So I'll update on that. And also, as regular followers will know, I'm looking after St Michael's division and Camberley West at the moment for Councillor David Lewis, who is poorly and undergoing treatment. So spent a bit of time there this week. I'm also going to update at the end of this video. There'll be an update specifically for Camberley West, but in particular St Michael's, which is where I visited this week. So to Frimley Green first, and I wanted to update on the works that are actually going on the Balmoral Road pond. Quite a few residents have actually emailed me to thank me for the work that's going on there. And I have to admit, I've had very little, if not anything, to do with it. This came about as a result of the Esso pipeline works. So it's Esso that are doing this as a sort of community payback, really, for the disruption they caused during the pipeline project and all the work that they did. So they've come back and they're doing this to the pond. I think that was at the request of officers at Surrey Heath Borough Council. So I had nothing to do with it, and neither did any other councillors for that matter. But it's good to see nonetheless, and the restoration project is well underway. But you know, that pond also, I noticed today when I was riding round, it actually serves a very serious purpose. You'll notice all sorts of gullies that feed into it and feed out of it. So although I'm no flood expert, I think what that looks like is a flood attenuation pond. So when there's very heavy rainfall, it all runs into there and then releases it back out very slowly. So we have the same here in Deepcut. So that's how I sort of recognised what was going on there. But the work is still undergoing by the looks of it. They've drained out the pond. They're clearing all the gullies. And I'm sure it's going to look absolutely fantastic when it's finished. Still in Frimley Green and around the rest of the borough, in fact, not just Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, but good to see that the Borough Council have finally started to install the new improved litter bins. As the old ones had, they've got some QR codes on there, so if they're overflowing or there's any issues with them, they can be reported by scanning the QR code. However, you know, I'll be on to the Borough Council if we start seeing instances of these bins overflowing again. It's all very well having lovely new bins, and it's nice to see the fox-proof sort of lids on them and all the rest of it, but they've got to be emptied regularly, and I hope that the Borough Council are going to finally get a grip of their contractors and make sure that these bins are emptied on a regular basis. Also in Frimley Green, as I was riding around, I did notice that the roundabout by Johnson's Wax and Balmoral Drive, so right in the middle of Frimley Green Road there, is looking a bit untidy. So I am going to be emailing the highways team to see if there's something we can do to spruce that up. It might involve finding some funding for that, but I'll look into that. But you know, it is a major sort of gateway into Frimley Green village, and I think that, you know, I'd like to see that tidied up and brought back to its former glory. So I'll get on the case. Yeah, Beach Road, Frimley Green, and the junction of Wharf Road is, the surface there is terrible. I did spot that as I was cycling around earlier. So the lines need refreshing and all that sort of stuff. So I spotted that. That's something I'm also going to get looked into. Again, these things don't happen overnight. I hope residents will support me in being patient so that I can just get these things looked into, get the funding allocated, and see if we can get these things spruced up. But yeah, unfortunately, they do take quite a long time to sort out. But I am on the case. Again, on Wharf Road, and one to cross off the list. Pleased to see that finally the hedges have been chopped back. They were encroaching the footpath, which was very narrow anyway. And to able-bodied people like myself, that's not really a major issue. But if you have mobility issues, and because it's so close to the library and the doctors, you know, the type of footfall that we get there at that location, you know, you do tend to have people with mobility issues and that sort of thing. And to those kinds of people, when you've got a very narrow footpath and made even narrower by overhanging vegetation, that does make their lives very difficult. So yeah, glad I managed to get that sorted out and another one ticked off the list. And quite a few people have asked me what the works are going to be in Frimley Green. There's some signs that have been put up saying work starts here on the 28th of October for 2 weeks. I've no idea what they are. I mean, a lot of people are wondering if it's to do with the roundabouts that are going to be installed there and that have reported on in previous updates. I doubt that very much, because I'm pretty sure that we're still in the design stages of those roundabouts. And besides, I think they're likely to take longer than 2 weeks to install. But anyway, I've sent off an email to the highways team to ask them what that's all about. And as soon as I know, I will update residents. To Mytchett now. I had a good cycle around Mytchett. Now, it reminded me actually while I was in Mytchett and on Colford Bridge Road that over the years, there's been a lot of sort of, let's say, grumbles from local residents in that area about speed issues on Colford Bridge Road, Hamersmoor Road and Mytchett Road. And over the years I've introduced a number of measures, so including vehicle activated signs, halos on the crossings to make them more visible. I've arranged for speed enforcement with police, and also other measures. And I just wanted to update on something else that I was trying to organise for particularly Colford Bridge Road, because I was looking at seeing if we could have installed some speed mitigation measures. So not speed bumps, because I'm not in favour of speed bumps. And if you have one installed literally outside your house, you wouldn't be in favour of them either. And besides, as I've said in previous updates, I don't think speed bumps work, frankly. You know, people, if you're that way inclined to drive like an idiot, all you're going to do, if you're in a car, you're going to slow down when you get to the bump, and then as soon as you got over it, you're going to speed off again. And if you're in a 4x4, you're just going to go straight over it because they don't have any impact on the bigger cars. So I'm not in favour of speed bumps. However, I was looking into trying to secure funding through what they call an ITS scheme. So ITS is integrated travel scheme from Surrey County Council, which is a pot of money which is distributed across the county, but you have to put in a bid and a business case for it. There's lots of criteria involved in getting a bid approved, including things like accident data, previous accident data, speed surveys and all that sort of stuff. And I have to say, I've got to hold my hands up and say that when it comes to the speed mitigation measures that I was hoping to get for Colford Bridge Road, I have to say that I failed in that attempt. Over the 2 past financial years, I've submitted 2 bids for the ITS scheme in respect of Colford Bridge Road, and both of those bids were unsuccessful, didn't score high enough, which means that I'm not going to be able to get the funding to introduce some speed mitigation measures on Colford Bridge Road. I was looking at things like chicanes and that type of thing. You have to understand that those things, although sound very simple, they're actually very expensive to deliver. So they're, quite rightly, there is a criteria to get the funding for those types of things. And as I've said, unfortunately for Colford Bridge Road, my 2 bids that I've made over the 2 past financial years were unsuccessful. I'm going to talk to highways officers again and see if there's something we could adjust to get it to score higher. But I've got to say, at this stage, it's looking unlikely that I'm going to get any further traffic mitigation measures for Colford Bridge Road over and above the things that we're already doing, you know, like speed enforcement and that type of thing. But I am open to discussion with local residents if they've got any ideas or anything like that that they want to discuss with me in respect of this. Let's keep the conversation going. You know, it's not dead in the water, but at the moment it's looking quite challenging to get anything delivered there. You know, in terms of infrastructure like chicanes and that type of thing. But like I say, let's keep the conversation going. You never know, I might be able to create a miracle. Still on Colford Bridge Road, and I spotted some quite uneven parts of the road. It looks like where there's been utility works, and I had actually spotted this last year, and I'm sure I'd reported it, and nothing's come of it. So I'm gonna revisit that, see if we can get you know, the road surface at this particular location improved, because especially when you're on a bike, it's not that great. But also, even on a car, in a car or whatever, you know, the road surface is not great, and you know, I'm keen to avoid any accidents and that type of thing. So I'm going to get this re-looked at and see if we can get that patched up. To Hamersmoor Road now. Now residents down there have been plagued with utility works along Hamersmoor Road. So, residents will remember the blue power cable project that ran right the way through Hamersmoor Road, and they've been back several times as well because there was issues with it, and there's been water works there, other utility works there, and residents have been pretty fed up, understandably, with all the disruption that's all caused. But it's also caused quite a bit of damage to the road surface. So with the help of some very bright highways officers who have been helping me with these things, we've managed to secure some funding to get the surface addressed on Hamersmoor Road. Now it's in a long queue of roads that need to be done, so there's been some a lot of investment from Surrey County Council Highways into the highway network right across the county, and obviously there's not an unlimited amount of contractors who can actually do the work. So it has been added now to what's called Project Horizon. The money's been allocated for some surface works there on Hamersmoor Road. I can't see that happening this year, so no disruption to you, thankfully, from that this year. But yeah, I'm hoping that next year at least that these works will be done, and you know, and have a better service on Hamersmoor Road. Still on Hamersmoor Road, and I spotted that some grass verges that were in a terrible state. Only very small ones actually, in between the footpath and people's properties and the road. So I'm going to see if I can get them looked at and brought up, because I think that if they look nice, it will really lift the whole area. So I'm going to get that looked at, see if we can get those grass verges sorted out. I'm going to need a bit of time to source funding for it and all the rest of it. But yeah, it was something that I spotted. And also on Colford Bridge Road, I spotted quite a lot of verges there that have been terribly damaged. And actually some residents have reported this to me recently, that you know, Amazon delivery vans and people's visitors are parking on those grass verges and really damaging them. I'm reluctant, to be honest, to spend any money bringing those grass verges up to a decent standard, unless I get a commitment from the residents that live on those roads that they're not going to allow their visitors to park there. But also, I'll need to see if there's something we can do to prevent the delivery drivers parking on there. That's a much tougher nut to crack. I'm not sure how we would do that. But yeah, there's no point in spending a load of money making the grass verges look really nice, reseeding them and all the rest of it, if all that's going to happen is people are going to park on them and completely destroy them again. I don't see that as an effective use of taxpayer money, but it is the parking on these grass verges is something that we do need to address, but it is a much wider problem that we need to tackle, like I say, with the delivery drivers and so on. So anyway, that's something that I'm going to look into. And quite a few years ago, it was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, a resident contacted me who was very disappointed that particular year, the poppies that are put out on the lampposts every year to commemorate, remembrance and so on, Armistice Day and all that, they were very disappointed that they didn't get any in Mytchett that particular year, and asked if I would have a look into that. After all, Mytchett, does have a strong military connection with the Army Medical Corps and so on, and others. And there's a lot of ex-service people that serve, that have served and live in Mytchett now. And they wanted to see the poppies on the lamppost like everywhere else. So I had that looked into, and it turned out that in previous years those poppies had been really badly damaged and they had a lot less of them. But as a consequence of that, resident inquiring with me, we were able to buy more. And when I was in Mytchett today, I did actually see the operatives putting them up on the lampposts. In fact, on my way, when I was cycling back, they were then in Deepcut putting them up there. But yeah, good to see the poppies on the lampposts. I know that means a lot to a lot of people. So really pleased to see that. To Deepcut now, and I don't have a lot to update in Deepcut this week. Over and above the things that are still outstanding and that I've reported in previous updates. But I did cycle past the church in Deepcut today, and it's looking pretty fantastic. The community space, the church hall that's been installed on the side of the church there is coming along nicely and really starting to take shape, and looks really a really high quality space. I cannot wait to see that when it's finished. But also just to say that the church leaders have been in touch with me recently about funding for some equipment to go in the hall, and also looking at some environmental projects, perhaps solar, that type of thing, to make the place energy efficient. And just to say that I am looking into that to see if we can secure some funding in order to make that happen. So, the church is a very important part of Deepcut, and it's going to become even more important as the new houses are occupied and more people are in the village. I mean, they're building 1,200 houses at Mindenhurst. I think there's roughly 350, 400 of them are built, so there's still quite a long way to go, and the village is going to expand very much, and a community resource like this is very, very important. And I know the people who run the church and the reverend, the local vicar, fantastic group of people, amazing community spirit. Keep an eye out for their Halloween event this year. They ran that last year and it was fantastic. It was like a Halloween treasure hunt type thing. Really, really good. But yeah, very excited about the church. Cannot wait for it to open. And I hope that the community will support me in making sure that we, make sure that this is the best possible asset that it can be. Finally, I just want to talk about autumn leaves. Now, this is a beautiful time of the year. I love this time of the year, especially riding around on my bike and forever stopping and taking pictures of beautiful colours on the trees and so on. But from a council point of view, it's a very challenging time of year because we actually live in the most wooded county in the country, and Surrey Heath is the most wooded borough in Surrey. So I think it's fair to say we get probably more autumn leaves in this borough than anywhere else in the country, perhaps. And that presents a massive challenge to the council in getting those leaves cleared away and so on. And I just wanted to ask really for residents' patience while that work starts and is ongoing. There's a vast amount, many tons of leaves that they have to blow and collect over the coming months, and it is a huge challenge. So just asking for residents' patience while that work is ongoing. And now to Camberley West. As I've said before, I'm helping my good friend Councillor David Lewis, who is poorly at the moment and undergoing treatment. So I am looking after his casework, and in order to get a real understanding of the area and the issues in Councillor David Lewis's division of Camberley West, I decided that I would go and have a look round for myself. I was ably assisted by Mila, who is the Community Link Officer at Surrey County Council. We both had a really good walk around the St Michael's part of Camberley West. We do intend to walk around the other areas like Watchett's, for instance, and parts of Frimley. But we had to start somewhere, and we decided that we would start in St Michael's. Now, we had a good walk round. We did speak to a lot of residents, actually. It was really great. People were really friendly. They could see we were from the council because we were wearing our ID badges, and they came out to chat. And we actually chatted to a lot of people. And it's clear to me, it was clear almost immediately, that residents of St Michael's in the main do take a huge amount of pride in their community. Of course, like every community, including my own, where I live, there are always going to be some people who don't respect their local environment like the rest of us do. But that's just a fact of life, and there's very little we can do about that other than to try and make the area look as good as it possibly can. So there was quite a few things that during our walk that we identified, like broken fences. There were some instances of fly tipping and all that sort of stuff. So that is something that we are going to tackle. We're going to get right onto those issues. Also, I arranged a meeting with the ward councillors for that area, which took place on Friday. We had a good meeting to discuss some outstanding issues, for instance, some traffic calming schemes and that type of thing to do with Surrey highways. So that's something that I'm going to give an update on very soon. But it is positive news. Funding has been allocated to the traffic mitigation, speed mitigation schemes there, and they're currently being designed and hopefully will be delivered in the next financial year. But I will obviously keep residents updated about that. We also, while we were walking around, because there's in St Michael's there's a very large number of accent peerless properties in that area, as there are in Deepcut, actually, where I live. We've got a fair number of accent peerless properties there. So here, so it was great to actually bump into the local sort of community officer from Accent Peerless, and we had a very, very brief chat because he was busy. The guy's name's Richard. He was quite busy. We were too, walking around. So I said to him, we're gonna be in touch very soon. I got his email address to set up a meeting, and I'm pleased to say that meeting has now been scheduled for next week, and we're going to talk about some of the issues relating to Accent Peerless. So of course I will update residents on that very soon. I also intend to be doing a letter drop very soon to let residents know who to contact should there be any issues and that type of thing. But yeah, if you live in St Michael's and you have any local issues whatsoever, do not hesitate to contact me. I'm going to overlay my email address on this video, so it's paul.deach, D-E-A-C-H, at surreycc.gov.uk. Now, I know these videos are probably something that you're not used to from your local representatives. It's just the way that I do things. I like to try and keep residents informed about what's going on, and this is just the easiest, fastest way for me to do that, rather than type out loads of lines and lines of updates on a newsletter or whatever and then deliver it through people's doors. You know, that takes a lot of time, and time I don't have, unfortunately. So this is how I update my residents in Mytchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, and they seem to appreciate that. I intend to do that for the short time that I'm going to be helping out in St Michael's. I really do want to hear from local residents. If you've got any local issues, please get in touch with me. Can't promise to fix everything, but I can't even try if I'm not aware of the issue in the first place. So that concludes my update for this week. I hope to get another one out next week. But again, if you have any local issues you want to discuss with me, you know where I am.